Hello there, Star Wars toy fans. This is Jim, and welcome to my channel. Well, this video is sort of a surprise for today because, believe it or not, last night I had everything all set up to do a Kenner Hasbro comparison of the heroes of Return of the Jedi, meaning Luke, Leia, Han, Lando, and even Chewie. And I was at Walmart today, and I had to buy some paint, some Kills paint. I was looking for oil-based paint specifically because I'm refinishing a 1930s, 40s vanity for my daughter. And the latex paint, even though I had sanded down to the best of my ability, the varnish or stain, it was still bleeding through the latex paint. So I wanted an oil-based paint, and there's nothing to be found at the hardware stores. So I ended up going to Walmart. There's nothing to be found there except a spray can, so that's what I bought. And I thought, oh, I'll just check by the toy aisle, even though I hadn't really planned on that. And I just gotten some birthday money for my mom, and it'd be like, they had every single one of these, just one. But they had bent cards, but that was okay, as I end up opening mine anyway. So let's go ahead and take a look at the cards first. And my camera is having problems focusing tonight, so I'm just, rather than zoom in and zoom out, I will do the best about just kind of panning it. So here we have that original logo, and you can see the retro collection sticker, which I'm not a big fan of, but that's reminiscent of the special offers that Kenner would come in for, like the free figures and so forth. And then the back side, this is kind of my biggest complaint. It's just too many words. There's no pictures. Remember the old Kenner cards? I mean, they had other things that you could purchase from them, like ships and play sets and other figures, and there's just nothing here. And granted, we have all these foreign languages so they can sell them in different countries. You know, that's great. But Kenner had the tri-logo, and they produce things specifically for each country. So, I don't know, I just like to see what else is coming out, and just by looking at the pictures. So that's my biggest complaint with that. Looking at Ned-B, here's his card, and it looks like a photo from the show. We have Darth Vader. This one looks more like a drawing or painting, maybe a CG image. So a photo of the fifth brother, and here we have the Grand Inquisitor, and then of course Reva, and the backs look all the same on each one. Well, now let's take a look at the figures. Now here we have Obi-Wan, and doesn't really look like the actor per se, but you know, when we think about it, how often did the Kenner toys look like the actor? He happens to be holding a blaster, and hopefully this will focus. I don't know what kind of blaster this is. I've never seen that produced by Kenner, and or even Hasbro. And then we have a vintage style lightsaber. Now, like I said, had this video all ready to go, so my Return of the Jedi Luke was out, and you can look at the handle. The handle's exactly the same. Has 3 dots. That shiny piece, that's silver, because I painted mine silver as a kid so I wouldn't lose them. But it's blue, just like Ben would have a blue lightsaber. Now the cloak really has some nice stitching done to it. It's really, really well done. It's probably the best Jedi cloak I have seen, even on, like, say, the modern other Hasbro stuff. I think this looks great on it. 5 points for articulation. Those of you that watch my videos, you know it's a big deal to have these guys sit, because oftentimes many of the Hasbro figures can't sit. Head turns, and then the hood actually fully covers his head. So that's why I say, look, it's a great Jedi robe. My main complaint about these figures is four out of the 6 of these, they just don't like to stay on the peg. The hole's just too small. So I'm not sure what the deal was with that, and he holds his weapons pretty well. The gun's a little bit cockeyed, but that's okay. It's a nice firm grip. Now, ned-b, this is a really cool sculpt. It's and the plastic, I love the color of the yellow plastic, so the gray is the paint. can look around and you can see nice sculpting with the backpack. And we have the stamp and information right there on the foot. The head does turn. He can sit, arms move, and looks like he's wielding some sort of hammer. And he fits really nicely on the vintage pegs. If I can find where the hole is. Oh, it's in the heel. Okay. Now, here we have Darth Vader. And I brought out my childhood Vader, the Kenner one, just so you can compare the two. Height-wise, pretty much the same height. But the eyes are painted red in the mask, and this is an entirely different sculpt, as you can see. The lightsaber does not telescope. He has the same vintage style with the 3 dots that Ben does. The cape happens to be cloth, and it's not a very thick fabric. I think they could have used something a bit thicker on him. And then the inner cape is reminiscent of the Emperor and the Imperial Dignitary from the time. So he does fully sit, which is really nice. And the head does rotate along with the cape. Let's take a look at the panel there. And if you look at that, you can see that different colors. We've got, instead of white and red, we've got some silver. And the belt's a little bit more stout. But overall, it's like the second vintage figure that we've seen of Darth Vader. Second different vintage mold. You know, he just, like I said, these guys just really don't like to stay on the pegs. Okay, well, let's take a look at the other bad guys. And I would have to say, I almost wish that they had produced 7 figures in this set, so we've got at least 3 good guys. Even though Reva, I guess, kind of does turn good in the end. Now, this one has a really pretty good facial likeness. Nice sculpting all the way around. It has the Imperial logo there on that shoulder in silver, and he's got it on both sides. And again, he has 5 points of articulation. Some detailing on the hat there, you'll see. And then he's got this double-bladed lightsaber. And I think that's kind of cool that they didn't paint it. It's just one solid piece of plastic. He fits nicely in the peg. Now here we have the Grand Inquisitor. And this one is, you know, another pretty good likeness. Let's take a look at the card. You know, it's pretty well done. Even has the, it's kind of hard to see. The camera is not focusing. But there's these lines on the head that you'll see in the photo. And Kenner actually sculpted them. Or Hasbro did. Now, for whatever reason, he's got a vinyl cape. And I'm not sure why. And this one kind of comes down on the back. He doesn't have an Imperial logo on the shoulder, and it's just got some pretty basic sculpting on it. Nothing real fancy. I think the real details in the head, but he's got the same weapon that the 5th brother does. So again, nicely done. Now Reva happens to have the best likeness of any of the figures to the actors, I think. I think they did a really nice job on her face. And for whatever reason, she's got like a half a circle. I'm not sure why that is. She only has one Imperial logo on the shoulder. Just kind of basic sculpt there for the belt. And some little silver up there up top. She does fully sit. And of course the cape gets in the way just like it did with the vintage Kenner line. Now, for those of you that follow my channel, you know that I'm a real big fan of the retro figures, and she's not going to stand on that, so maybe yours will fit better. I'm a real big fan of the retro figures. I call them vintage because really they're like the vintage line, but due to budgetary restraints, I kind of have to limit myself, and so this is what I stuck with. And if you like this line, if you like that style, pick these up. I highly recommend them. I think they're beautifully done. Hasbro did an outstanding job on them, just like they did with the Mandalorian series, which I'll cover here in the future. Well, take care, and the next video that I'll be coming out with will be the Return of the Jedi figures, and I will even include a Stan Solo Leia in there, just to give you a little spoiler.